All right, welcome to a grade 7 lesson on 7.3, the effects of outliers on an average. So something I've told students many times is when you get to high school, you get these averages where you're in percentages. And I remember when I used to teach high school, I would have kids that wouldn't hand in assignments. And what would really hit them up is they would end up with a 0 within their average. So we're just going to take a quick look here on the board, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that you can see it a little better. So here we have a spreadsheet showing some marks within a class. You can see Jimmy, Susie, Alvin, Mark, Anna, Sarah, Mickey, Sal, and David. All fake names, although I'm sure many people enjoy those names. They all have these marks, and you can see them represented in a graph. And so you can see that Alvin does fairly well, and it looks like Sal has the highest mark in the class. And Mickey has like a 12%. I think Mickey must have been one of those kids that writes IDK OMG all over their paper. I literally got a final like that once from a kid where about 80% of the test they wrote IDK OMG and then a couple of other things that I wouldn't repeat because I think at that point he was very frustrated with this test. And I want to show you what an outlier is, and maybe I'll turn over to grade 8s first, and if they want to chime in. Grade 8s, what would you say in this data is the greatest outlier that is affecting our average? Yes, Finnegan.
The 12.
The 12. Yeah, that's like way out there, isn't it? Can someone tell me a kid who is like fairly consistent with the data, the opposite of an outlier? Yes, Helga.
Would it be Anna?
Maybe Anna. Let's see. Where's Anna? Anna's right here. Yeah, it's kind of sort of in the middle, isn't it? You know, it's in the flow of the data. So when I look at Anna's mark isn't way out there, right? So if someone said, hey, how is your class at this concept? And I had this test, I would say, well, generally speaking, they're at about 70% in their understanding, so they're a fairly strong understanding. But there's an outlier there. Would you say Mickey is a good representation of how well this class understands the concept?
No.
No, not really. That's what we call an outlier of data. And oftentimes, I look at outliers and I have to determine them. Right now I'm working on report cards. And so if Mickey normally gets up here, and then on only this test, Mickey has a great outlier of data, would that mean that probably this data does not accurately represent Mickey? Yeah, like if he gets 78 like almost all the time, and then he gets 12%, I'm not going to give him 12% in the course. He's probably going to have closer to 78. However, the average changes. So let's take a quick look at how that average changes. Now, down here I have the average. Maybe I will brighten that up and make it a little bigger so you can see it. There we go. We'll get a nice big average. So you can see that the class average is 70.44%. But you know what? Mickey didn't do the majority of the test. He just wrote IDK OMG all over his paper. And so let's take him out of here. Maybe we can get a more accurate class average. Oh, look at that. Suddenly an outlier of data is missing. And it really changes, doesn't it? You know what? Let's clean this up. Let's just get rid of that line. There we go. Now we've removed one of the greatest outliers. Do you see how the average changed?
Yes.
Okay, now let's take a look at what it was before. It was 70.44. And now when we take this away, boom, class average goes up. Is there another outlier of data here? One that's like very different than the rest? Yes, George.
27.
27, so Sarah's got a pretty low number, doesn't it? So we were noticing that Sarah is also a great outlier of data. So for example, if I was giving all this data to the province to say, how well does Mr. Ewart's class work? We might wonder if Sarah is really in the flow. Now, if we were to take Sarah out, do you think that average would go up or down? Up. Okay, well, let's take Sarah out. Oh, Look at that. Now the class average is at 85. Wow, that is not too shabby. Well, you know what? Let's say that this is your average in high school, and we have assignment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And let's say these were the marks that you got on those assignments. But let's say that your teacher assigned you something and you didn't understand, and you went, whatever, I'm not doing that one. Watch what happens to your 85 average. And then you had a hockey tournament and you said, well, whatever, you know what, I can't be expected to do all this. I'm busy. I'm not going to do that assignment. You only missed 2 of 7 assignments, and how much did your average go down? What was that, like 25%? That's huge, isn't it? So there is a reality when we get to high school. But do those outliers represent my knowledge? Does that show that in assignment 2 and 5, I knew 0 of the outcomes? No, it doesn't. But that outlier data greatly changes the numbers. So let's take a look. The effects of outliers on an average. What is a synonym for average? What's another word for average? Starts with an M. Yes? Mean, exactly. Like if I miss 2 assignments, it's mean what it does to my average. So let's zoom out and get into a lesson now. All right. Let's take a look at some of these numbers, and you won't be able to see on my screen, but you should have the textbook in front of you at 7.3. Effects of outliers on an average. Students of grade 7 class measured their pulse rates. Here are their results in beats per minute. So you can see a wide range. This kid is super mellow, as you can see, whereas this kid seems to be a little bit excited about the lesson. Oh, I know why. This kid's 12, this kid's a teenager, they're all apathetic now. Nah, maybe this kid exercised this morning and this kid missed breakfast and slept in. Maybe. Calculate the mean, median, and mode for this data. Okay, first let's do a quick review. How do I find a mean of the data? What do I need to do? Yes?
You need to add them all together and divide by itself.
Right, I gotta find the sum of all of them and then divide. What number would I divide by? How do I figure that?
You count all the numbers that you add together,
Yeah.
and then you divide it by that number.
Oh, so if I have 3, 6, 9, 12, okay, so if I have 25 numbers here, I would add them all up and I would divide it by 25.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you very much so. Median, how do I find the median with all of these numbers? Because I noticed last week some kids, they just went for that middle number in the existing list, but I have to rearrange something first. Yes, sir?
You have to arrange it in like order of how least to greatest.
Okay, so least to greatest, so maybe the kid who is, wait a minute, 80%? Oh my gosh. I'd be like, Jimmy, are you okay, Jimmy? Jimmy! Nurse? Wait, what would you call that number then? That's an outlier, okay. So I would arrange with 8 as the first one, and then going up to, I think 97 is the biggest one. And then what do I do to find the median? The median. What do I do? Yes, ma'am.
You look in the middle of it, and then.
Right in the middle of the ordered list?
Yeah.
Bingo. Okay, and then the mode. Now we're not talking about putting ice cream on pie here. What is it? The most often, yeah. So you would go through here and you would see which numbers are recurring the most. That is the mode.
17.
Now, we're talking about outliers. And we noticed there was this 8 in there. Do you really think someone has a pulse of 8? No, we call that death, okay? That is not a child. That is a body that is slowly cooling right now. I'm pretty sure it's not humanly possible. Like if my thing said 8, I would probably think I have a defective watch at that point. For those of you watching in 1987, they do that now. Oh, by the way, good job for you getting into the future. Didn't know that the time machine existed. Can I use it next weekend? I want to go see what I'm like when I'm in. No, I don't. Never. Forget it. So let's get back into our outliers. Obviously 8 is an outlier, and if we said what is the average pulse of these people, that would be a great gross miscalculation. It would in no way represent. So let's look at some more examples. Here are the marks of 1 out of 100 on the English test. So, oh my gosh. That kid's got a bit of IDK on his, eh? This kid, ooh, they studied hard. How many students were in the class? How would I find that out? Yeah.
How many numbers?
I count how many numbers. What's the outlier? Are there any outliers in here? Yes, sir.
21, 23, and 24.
21, 23, 24. There's kind of a gradient, isn't there? So maybe, like, there aren't any numbers that are way out from the rest of them, are there? These are definitely the lowest. Yes, sir.
99 is like
Oh, 99 is fairly far apart from the other numbers, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like that's the most outlier. It lies outside of the rest of them to a great extent. Could I get you to just check the time on there and see how many minutes we've got? Calculate the mean, median, mode. We've already talked about that. We could add them all up, divide by the number to get the mean. The mode is the one that comes the most often, and the median would be the middle number when they are put in order. Should the outlier be used when reporting the average test mark? So if I'm reporting to our principal what the average is, should I include the 99 or drop the 99? What do you guys think? There isn't any wrong answer. This is an opinion. How many minutes?
11.
Thank you. Do you think I should include the 99?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's not way out there, is there? What if almost everyone had 78s, 87s, 93s, and one kid had a 5 because they just wrote their name on the test and handed it in? Should I include that one? Maybe not? I see, I had this dilemma with our MRLC yesterday. I was putting in all our results, and I've got like, just be aware that we're recording the video and everything's being recorded. Okay. When I was doing that, I noticed we had a lot of kids in the 6, 7, 8 range, and then we had a few kids in the 2 to 3 range. And then I was like, is this representative of the data? And I noticed it really skewed our results, which, by the way, you guys did all right. I'll tell you the results later. We have many more examples here, but I'm going to start skipping past. This person's adding all the numbers together. What are they finding? Mean, median, or mode? Call it out.
Meaning.
We're finding the mean. You got it. I think I'm going to skip past the rest because I think you guys know. We've already talked about mean, median, and mode. You've had a good representation. I think you're starting to get it now. By the way, I have had questions about how to make graphs on Excel. If you would like to know more, talk to me in class, and I also have the video on the blog for it, and I look forward to helping you guys in class. Don't forget, the only stupid question is the one not asked, because it is not knowing if you choose not to ask it.